Okay, so this is a little bit more about myself and my own journey in eating disorder recovery. What I really just want to do is give you some insight into the person that I am, and then to just give you a little bit of hope, because no matter how far down the line you are, there really is the hope and encouragement to get out of it. Even if you don't have a fully fledged eating disorder, even if it's just difficulty with accepting your body and loving yourself the way you are, even if it's not your body, even if it's just your personality, you can take some actions and some beautifully progressive steps into coming to a place that's more in love with you. So yeah, a little bit about myself. I'm 28 years old now. I am from South Africa, and I'm currently in lockdown. My journey kind of started when I was about 12 years old, when I first started dabbling in heavy dieting and restricting. But the thing is, as soon as I started to lose weight and I got this idea that I could control something, which was my food, my thinking suddenly grabbed onto that. I found a tool that served the purpose of keeping me safe and secure, even if it was only a mental safety and mental security. And because I was so insecure and because I felt so unsafe, I grabbed onto this as quickly as I could. And I developed it into my life as a way of coping. Restricting food became a way for me to feel safe. When I felt unsafe or uncertain, restricting seemed the thing to do, because at least I knew what was going on with my body. So I would restrict when I was scared or when I was uncomfortable, and I would purge when I was overwhelmed or if I couldn't cope. And it was this like kind of back and forth. I think what happened for me is that I had, at such a young age, held on to this belief that this was the thing that was keeping me safe and secure, that I actually couldn't see the damage it was causing. At school, I was a perfectionist. I used to try my best to get the highest marks, and if I didn't get the highest marks, I would absolutely flip out. And it was all or nothing for me. It was either full-blown exercise that I'm dripping with sweat and can't move afterwards, or it was in the couch and not being able to move and complete sloth. Relationships were very intense. I had some really destructive relationships in my varsity life. And in varsity, I was also introduced to alcohol and drugs. And then I started to kind of dabble with those things, alcohol, drugs, and bulimia all together, in order to cope with everything that was going on in my life. When I turned 23, I think I was about 23, I'd hit the end of the road. I remember waking up one morning and just being like, I'm done. I don't know how to go on anymore. And I started exploring different ways of recovery, and I downloaded some apps. I started listening to podcasts. I also was reading articles. I was watching videos just like this, and things sort of started to get better, but not really. But it was just the fact that I had that little bit of hope. And I made the decision that I was going to start working on myself, and that no matter what, I was going to carry on going. And one thing that was said to me was, if you could give anyone any advice for the early beginning of recovery, what would you say? And the advice given to me was keep going no matter what. And there were times where I didn't feel like I could keep going, and it felt like, how am I here again? How am I going backwards? However, I thought I dealt with this element of myself. I thought this was gone. I thought that fear was gone. The truth is, I kept going, and I kept on being honest about it. Every time I relapsed, I would tell someone that I trusted. I would talk to my therapist. I ended up admitting myself into a treatment facility, which I also then jumped ship after 3 weeks, because I couldn't handle the idea of not being in control. In the treatment center, I still acted out on my eating disorder, and when I came out of the treatment center, I went straight back into the bulimia, into another destructive relationship with an addict, and yeah, just not taking care of myself at all. I then got a job with my aunt. I moved. I started to pick myself up a little bit. But within a couple of months, I was straight back in it, and it carried on that way, just back and forth, going in and out, in and out. And every single time I came out of a relapse, there was something that I needed to have learned, and there was some way for me to grow from it. I eventually ended up going into 12-step recovery programs, which really, really helped me with my eating disorder recovery. And one of the main reasons being because I had a sense of community and belonging for the first time in a very long time. And I had people going, here, you need to look at yourself. And looking at myself was really ugly and really scary. But it became second nature to start looking at myself and to start really engaging with every single element of myself and of my spirituality and of what an eating disorder actually is, and how you can get lasting, loving recovery from your eating disorder. What I really believe is once you start to work on that inside part of yourself, the ability to feed yourself properly becomes something that you feel like naturally doing. And it doesn't make sense because it feels like it should be the other way around. Like you get the food stuff right, and then all the internal and external chaos will come right, and that's not how it works. And to then just be able to find that peace and that calmness within yourself, it allows you to find more peace and calmness in your eating and your food and your body practices. Going forward in these videos, I will be sharing with you some really cool meditation techniques, some tools, some coping mechanisms, all sorts of things. And if you have any questions, anything that you'd like to see in a video, I'd love for you to comment below. Yeah, thanks so much, guys. I really hope that you carry on watching these. This is just a little bit about myself. Like I said, not really much of a tips kind of thing, just to get to know me a little bit better so that you can see my advice comes from my experience, and hopefully this will help you on your journey.